Welcome to my first monthly TBR video. I've been doing monthly wrap-up videos for well over a year now, and I really enjoy it because it gives me a chance to process all the thoughts about what I've been reading, but I'm always struck by the comparison between what ends up in my wrap-up and what was on my TBR for the month, because sometimes it's incredibly similar and sometimes it's super different. I'm a bit of a mood reader, so I can set out with the best of intentions and then just not be able to summon the will to read any of the things I've picked out for myself. When I first started my channel, I did a lot of reading challenges, and I found myself buying lots of books or reading really specific books for these challenges that I wasn't actually in the mood for, didn't actually want to read in that moment. It kind of burnt me out, so I'd really like to avoid that. I'm gonna approach this as a little bit of a menu that I can choose from, and then what we can do at the end of the month is look at how my wrap-up compares to my TBR. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss my wrap-up when it's out at the end of June. I would also love your recommendations. I'm a sucker for a recommendation. I have definitely been known to pick up a book based on a single recommendation or an out-of-context quote that I've seen. So please let me know in the comments if anything that I share spurs any thoughts that you have for stuff I might enjoy. I would love to give it a try. So I've got two books that I am currently reading. The first physical book that I'm reading is One Night in Hartswood by Emma Denny. This is a queer historical romance. I'm not very far into it. It's good. It's a little bit slow, but I'm gonna press on before I decide to DNF it. This is one I've had on my shelf for a while, so I'm glad to pick it up. And then we have a very beat up library copy of Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries, and I am loving this, and I am probably about a quarter to a third of the way through this one, maybe about 30%. This is great. I will finish this within the next couple of days, I think. In terms of audiobooks, I have got 4 that I've picked out. There's one that I need to read this month, which is Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. And that is because it's for my writing group's book club. And I voted for this one because I thought I had a physical copy of it on my shelf, and I don't think I do. I think I just had saved it. I really thought I had a physical copy of this. Have I just put it in the wrong place, maybe? Anyway, I thought I had a physical copy, but I don't, so I will be listening to it on audio. Then we have Savor It by Tarah Dewitt, and I have read Tarah Dewitt's other books and really enjoyed them. They're just really cute rom-coms, and so excited to read Savor It as well, which I think is about a chef that comes to a small town. And I really like a good small town romance. I think it can get quite saccharine very quickly, so I'm excited to see if this scratches the itch there. I also intend to listen to Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I mentioned in my monthly wrap-up for May, which if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description. I mentioned that I'm reading a few books with the brother's best friend trope as research for a project I want to work on in the future. And I think this is brother's best friend. Well, no, I know it's brother's best friend. That's why I've put it on the list. And then finally, I've reserved the audiobook through my library for Fable by Adrienne Young. And that says that I will get it on the 11th of June. So I will need to listen to that during June before I need to return it. 4 audiobooks is probably a comfortable number for me for the month. I might end up with more than that depending on what else I'm doing. So now let's look at physical books, and we'll start with another library book that I have that I need to read so I can return it, which is Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin. And this is a small town romance about a girl who's inherited her grandmother's old bookshop. I reserved it ages and ages ago because I was gonna do a books about books video. I then decided not to do that, but now I'm wondering if I should. So let me know in the comments if you would want me to do a books about books video, because I love books about books, but I know that there have been so many of them over the last few years that people are kind of sick of it. So let me know if that's something you would want. Next up, we have the 4th book in the Wayfarers series by Becky Chambers. It is, I believe, a standalone, but it is part of that series and is the last Becky Chambers book that I have yet to read. And so I would really like to get to this. I do own this. I've had this copy on my shelf for months now. I loved the 3rd book so much that I'm really excited to read this one. Then I have 2 books that I want to read for a video about, well, I wanted to read them anyway, but I would like to read them this month because I want to make a video about my most anticipated romance releases of the year because they are now all out. And I have not read two, one that came ages ago and one that came this month. The one that came ages ago is Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrun, who wrote The Charm Offensive and Kiss Her Once for Me, both of which I love. And then the one that came out this past month was The Paradise Problem by Christina. Then we have another recent pre-order, which is When Among Crows by Veronica Roth, which, yes, Veronica Roth of the Divergent series. And this is just a really nice short book, and sometimes a short book is a good like palate cleanser, and I've heard good things about this book. I'm really bad at like reading books within the month that I've received them, which this did come in May, so I didn't obviously read it within the month that I received it, but to read it so soon after would be a nice accomplishment, and it's so short that I should be able to do that. And then finally, we have a book that's been on my shelves for ages, which is A Study in Drowning by Reid. I've never read any of Reid's books, but I've heard amazing things about them, and A Study in Drowning is meant to be their best. I hear the vibes are immaculate. Again, I think it's maybe a book about books, but so many people love this book, and I'm really excited. But this is, I think, the least likely on the list, because it's also the kind of thing that I really need to be in the mood for. I can pretty much always pick up a rom-com and know that I'm going to get into it, but this kind of book I feel like needs a little bit more mental attention. So if you were counting, that is 8 physical books and 4 audiobooks. To be fair, I read I think 11 books in May, and like I said, I will have a bit more time on my hands during June, so it shouldn't be too bad, but that is more physical books than audiobooks, and the balance is usually a little bit more 50-50 or skewed towards audio for me. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I'm excited to try this like official TBR thing for the first time. Let me know in the comments if you actually like this video, if you like knowing what I'm planning to read, or if you would rather me just share my reviews once I have read things. I'd love to know what you think. Maybe this will be my first and last monthly TBR if you don't like it. Editing Sam here. We have hit 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of wild to me. And so this weekend I'm going to be filming a 1,000 subs Q&A. So if you have any questions for that Q&A, put them in the comments and I'll include them in that video. And of course, don't forget to pre-order my book, You've Got Chainmail, which is out on the 15th of August. Pre-order links in the description as always. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.